as a starting point for most of the discussions that I have with CIOs, it's to talk about where video is now and where we see it going in the next 5 years. And it's been quite interesting to see how the discussions have changed with the CIO in the last couple of years, and I'll talk about that just now. But there's a research report that's done by Cisco. It's called the Visual Networking Index, and they provide some interesting statistics with regards to the growth of video. And literally back in 2012, I used to enjoy saying that online video would grow, the number of online video users would grow to 1 billion people around the world, and that's a community of users that's only larger than the populations of China and India. And my favorite joke that I got really tired after a while, but I'll rehash it here quickly, is that if you're a person living in China and you're kind of one of those, you've got a really strong ego about you, and you think that you're just 1 in a million, you're the type of person that's just 1 in a million. Well, think about it. If you're living in India, there's 3,000 other people just like you, because the population is 3 billion people. Don't do that. Okay, so very large, but that was back in 2012. Now the conversation is actually saying, well, there's going to be 2 billion users of online video by 2017. Those are the predictions. So it's quite fascinating to see just how, in such a short space of time, the number of people for this kind of technology is massively growing. Okay, when we think about online video, our thoughts first go to YouTube, and we all think, well, yes, that's great. I can upload, I can be on the weekend, I can take a video of my dogs playing together, and I can upload it onto YouTube, or I can do some quick how-to video, and it's all pretty much consumer grade stuff, right? It's my camera, and I'm taking a video of something, and I upload it to YouTube, and I let my mates and my family know about it. Okay, that is certainly what we see as being the most prevalent use of video. However, what's less visible to us on a day-to-day basis is actually just how it's being used within the business world. And that's really where the growth of online video is going to come from. It's that 58% of all business-related internet traffic in 2017 will be video. All internet traffic, all business-related internet traffic, 58%. It's a phenomenal number to think about. Okay. The fourth bullet point there about, sorry, I'm just going to put that down. The fourth bullet point there with regards to growth within Africa, I find a fascinating stat. It is a little bit old. It came from not the 2009 to 2014, but the 2008 to 2013 Visual Networking Index, where they said that the compound annual growth rate of adoption of video in Middle East and Africa is 107%. Okay, what does that mean? It means that the number of people consuming video in Middle East and Africa literally doubles year on year. It's interesting to compare that stat to the US and the European compound annual growth rate, which is down in the 30%. Okay, which is not small by any stretch of the imagination, but the real growth is happening in Middle East and Africa now. So I think that that's also a very, really good statistic. And then, so I mean, the point of what I'm saying here is that if you don't believe that video is going to have an impact on your business, if you're an IT manager or a CIO, and that you need to be paying attention to it, if you don't believe that, then I don't really have much more to say to you, and you're welcome to go and get lunch. If you do believe this, if this makes sense to you, then I've got a couple more stories to tell, which I think will flesh out a little bit what is currently happening in the market. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So this is the interesting challenge, is that when I'm at home, all of us, when we're at home as consumers, our ability to use and engage with video is really pretty damn powerful. We can pull out our cell phones, all of them have got really, really good video capturing capability. We can, at the click of a button, upload that video, make it available for the entire world to see within the space of a couple of minutes. And it's just not difficult. Okay. Certainly our kids can do that. I don't know if all of us, the older generation can do it, but our kids can do it like this. Okay. Now, take those younger generation folks. So what do we call them? They're They're the Gen Ys, that are coming into the workforce at the moment. I'm Gen X, so I'm personally a bit of a lost soul. But the Gen Ys, they're moving into this most amazing world. And they've grown up with this kind of stuff. They've grown up with the ability to shoot a video of whatever they want to and upload it. They've grown up with the ability, I mean, one of the stories that I hear people tell is that our kids, the youngsters, and it's not even our kids anymore, it's the 20-somethings and the early 30s. These folks don't read textbooks anymore. They don't read the manual, so they buy something new. They buy a remote-controlled radio car. They don't read a manual to find out how to take the thing apart and fix it and put it back together again. They go to YouTube and they find a video that tells them how to do this. Okay. Now, take those people and put them into the organization. Make them your employees. So those same people who are consumers, they walk in the door at the offices on a Monday morning, and they are now the employees of the organization. And they say, well, hell, I know how to do things. I've learned how to do things because I watched videos on how to do it. I taught people how to do things because I created videos on how to do these things. And they take out their cell phone. They take out their cell phone, and they quickly do a shoot of I don't know. Give me an example of something that civil engineers would quickly do a training video on. Civil engineer out in the field, and he takes a video of some relevant content. So he goes to the CIO, and the CIO says, sorry, but no, we don't allow any video on our network. Unfortunately, it's too bandwidth intensive, and so I can't support you. So he goes, look, son, okay, well, YouTube. Then he goes, no, but hang on a minute, this is stuff that I know for my organization. This is IP. I'm not going to give this away. I'm not going to stick this up on YouTube. And he's stuck. Okay. Now, what we're seeing in our organization is we're talking to corporate organizations, and more, it's the business people we're talking to. We've kind of been avoiding IT people for quite a long time because IT oaks has got video. So we avoid them, but we've seen over the last 3 to 5 years that the conversation is shifting with the CIO, and that's going to be my I'm going to get to it because I keep pointing to it. But basically, the conversation is shifting with the CIO. Where 3 years ago, the CIO I walked into his office, I said video, and he said, get out, please. Now, I walk into his office, I say video, and he says, please sit down. Because why? I'm having so many people from the organization, from HR who want to do training and induction type of video content, from the executives, the CEOs, the COOs who are wanting to do broadcast communications to the organization, especially in a globally expanding organization. So a lot of South African companies with growth into Africa needing to talk to their staff. The CIOs are wanting to engage their staff with what the brand means and where the company's going and what the microeconomic environment looks like. And doing things like conferences, and so it's internal communications, it's marketing, it's HR. They're all coming to the CIO and they're saying, we want to do video. But the CIO says, okay, so the CIO says, okay, cool, I need to be able to support video on my network, but here are my challenges. First of all, the network doesn't scale to support video. So I've got bottlenecks in between the branches and my head office. I've got bottlenecks between the end user and my mobile workforce and their ability to come onto the network and access video. So for that reason, I'm not prepared to allow video onto the network. Secondly, I've got an issue around storage. Because the fact that for every video file that's created, let's say a typical example is that a 1 hour video file would take up about 250 megabytes as a file size. There's some software parameters that would vary that file size, but for illustrating my point, about 250 megabytes for one video file. The problem that you've got here is you've got different devices that need to consume that video file. Okay, so I want to watch that video on my laptop, or I want to watch that video on my iPhone, or I want to watch it on my Android device, or I want to watch it on my tablet as opposed to my mobile device. So for each of those different devices, we actually need to re-encode the video into a different format. So now, let's say it's 3 formats that we need to support the various different devices that are out there. So now my 250 megabyte file that I have to store on the network has gone to 750 megabytes, right? Next thing is, in order to overcome the network challenge, what's the logical thing to do? Okay, let's say we've got a whole lot of employees at branches all around the country. and a video is created at head office, but we want all of our employees to consume that video. What's the logical thing to do with that video? Spread it out. Push it to the edge of the network. So we'll store a copy of that video at every single branch, right? So now my 750 megabytes has gone to 750 megabytes times the number of branches that I want to push this video to, right? The next challenge that we have is that not every, it's like the ant farm, not all networks are created equal, just some are more equal than others. So that's not the ant farm, that's animal farm. Thank you. Okay, so what we want to do is we actually want to send the video file at different qualities to different users depending on the quality of their own internet connection. Okay, so if I've got a poor sort of 3 bars on 3G on my cell phone, 2 bars 3G on my cell phone, and don't even talk to me about edge, I need to send it at a fairly low bit rate. But if I'm sitting on a fairly nice fast broadband connection or a fiber link that Roger was talking about earlier, I'd like to actually have the highest quality video that I can. So what we do is we use a thing called adaptive bitrate. And adaptive bitrate dynamically detects the end user's own internet quality. And it sends the video file at the quality appropriate for that user's connection. So what you'll see, you'll see it quite often, is that when you first connect to a video, the image quality is quite poor. And I'm talking about in the first 5 to 10 seconds once buffering's taken place. But we're not talking about YouTube. If you're using a different platform, the image quality will start off quite low, and then within the first 5 to 10 seconds, if you're on a good fast internet connection, you'll see the pictures actually start to sharpen up and get crisper and crisper and look much better. That is adaptive bitrate in action. So what it does is it sends the video to you in the lowest possible format just to get the video to start playing quickly. As it realizes you've got really good quality connection, it sends more and more data simultaneously, allowing the picture to sharpen up. Okay, so that's adaptive bitrate. Okay, back to my story about storage. So now at least 3 different bitrates is what we'd want to create that file in to support decent quality adaptive bitrate. So where were we? We're at 750 megs, times the number of branches that we've got, times another 3 for the adaptive bitrate. So we're at 1.5, 2.25 gigabytes of data for 1 hour of video. Okay, times the number of branches that we've got around the organization. Okay, so you can see immediately that storage is a big issue to consider when it comes to video. Okay, how do we overcome things like that? Just very quickly, without doing a deep dive into it, is we would store 1 copy of the file in one format, push it to the edges of the network only when it is required to be used. So when a person first wants to consume that video, then the video is delivered to the edge of the network, but it is only stored in the format on the edge network. It's only stored in one format. Then on the fly, we'll put wrappers around that video to deliver it in the format that's required for the particular device that's asking for it. So a wrapper for iPad, a different wrapper for Android, a different wrapper for PC, Mac, etc. Okay. Secondly, we'll also do the trans-rating dynamically. So it will take the high quality file and we'll compress it on the fly for a low bandwidth connection. Okay. So we don't store multiple versions of that file at each edge of the network. And then we'll also start expiring content. So content that hasn't been used for a long time, we won't remove from the overall system, but we'll expire it. We'll push it off the edge of the network, off the edge nodes. And if somebody wants it in a year's time, they'll pull it down again from the central source. Okay, so these are kinds of things that we do, clever little things to do to manage storage. But storage is a different consideration. Media and user management. So I've been talking about 1 hour of video file. Okay. As the organization starts to adopt video, and believe me, this happens. Don't think that if you roll out a video management or a video strategy for your organization, that people won't start to use it. They will. And this is what we see. We deal with one, like the HR department, the next thing it's training, the next thing it's induction, the next thing it's marketing, then it's internal communications, then it's investor relations, and suddenly there's a whole lot of departments within the same organization that all want to do video. Okay. So it will happen that more and more video content will be created. Now you've got thousands and thousands of hours of video content. So now you get to a scenario where you want to create like a corporate YouTube type of setup, where you can allow your users to do what I described at the beginning of my presentation. That's that Gen Y guy who comes in and takes a video of something practical and usable for your organization, and he says, where do I upload it to? and the CIO says, there's the platform, click a button, upload. And all the right things happen in the background to ingest that video, irrespective of whether he took the video with his iPhone or a video camera or whatever device it was taken, and that creates all sorts of different formats and other challenges. But you kind of need a platform that takes care of that in the background. So your kind of corporate YouTube environment becomes important, and that then allows people to search for content, to rate it, like it, dislike it, recommend it, and there you start getting to user management things, because if you're going to invest in a video management platform, it is a fairly significant investment. You want to ensure that you've got user adoption. So all of these social media types of things, rate, like, dislike, propose, assign. If I'm a team leader and I want to ensure that people watch video and that they know the video that I want them to watch, and I assign that video to them. And then they as my team knows that there's video that they need to consume. Okay. You also need to, in terms of user management, need to think about permissions. Some video content will not be relevant to your entire organization, just to a specific team. So if you can integrate Active Directory and all of your permissions and your profiles, or LDAP or whatever system you're using, to your video management platform, it becomes a lot easier to control who has access to what video content. Okay, does that all make sense? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. So. Oh yes, something's supposed to be grumbling. Mine is. Okay, so very quickly, okay, this is what I was trying to get to. The CIO conversation has literally inverted. Where 3 years ago I wasn't welcome in the CIO's office. Now they're saying, please come and talk to me about how we can overcome some of those challenges I've described. Okay. Is this happening? Am I talking hype? Let's bring this to the real world. Let's bring this to today. What is happening today? If I was to say to you that if you're not implementing video today, that you're behind the curve, the answer is no, you're not behind the curve. Okay. If you're not implementing video on your network today, you're not behind the curve. In fact, you're probably, if you look at the adoption curve of new technologies, you're more in the early adopter phase in South Africa. This is kind of what I'm seeing. Okay. It's not in the fast growth phase. So you know, if you're kind of one of those, I'm going to be the first to do stuff type of people, then you will be actively involved in this kind of thing. If you're one of those people that says, there's no ways I'm going to be implementing new technology until it's absolutely been implemented by lots of organizations out there, and all the kinks have been ironed out, and all the challenges are known and understood and taken care of, so you're kind of a late adopter type of person, then you've got plenty of time, don't worry about it. Okay. But start thinking about it now. So to prove what I'm saying in terms of where we're at in terms of the market adoption, a couple of case studies in the medical industry. We've got a client here in South Africa, just short of 100 hospitals all around the country, as well as branches in multiple locations in Europe. They have made the decision that they will build a video broadcasting studio at their head office in South Africa, where the CEO or other relevant people can physically go in and sit. It's got cameras like this, it's got lights, it's got microphones, and they're able to do a live broadcast to all of the hospitals and the branches around the country. Okay, that was signed off last year. It's in rollout and looking for sign-off in the next couple of weeks. Okay, that's one of the projects that we're currently undertaking. Okay. In the manufacturing industry, again, these guys have got branches all around the country, primarily in South Africa. The CEO needs to do regular updates to the staff. They've also got public display screens at the branches, at all of the offices that they want to push video content into. And that is already been rolled out. So we've already implemented everything that's necessary to push content to the edges of the network, allowing them, and I don't think I probably haven't emphasized this enough yet, allowing them to do live video broadcasting. So, okay, is it time up? I actually haven't been watching anything properly. I've been looking here. Cool. I'll wrap it up there. But live, live has got its own challenges if you're doing live versus on-demand content. And then there's another example in the consulting industry where we've got a client very focused on broadcasting up into Africa, and we're starting to push out more and more content to their African branches. And I think Roger's presentation had a lot of relevance with regards to this, because the reality is we need bandwidth. None of this stuff is possible if there isn't decent bandwidth up into the branches that you're pushing your video to. Okay, last one, which I think is pretty cool. Drones. There's been talk about drones at the moment. We were involved with Kagiso. I don't know if you can see the brand over there. That's Jacaranda FM Studios in Midrand, just next to the N1. We were flying a drone. It was communicating via radio link to a receiver on the ground. That receiver was feeding a video feed directly into a video encoder, which was connected to the internet. It was relaying, the encoder was turning the video feed into a live stream, sending it off to the internet and publishing it on Jacaranda's website. What was the drone doing? It was flying up and down the freeway and taking a look at the traffic. It was a traffic drone. It was fabulous, and it got a lot of attention. Everybody was really excited about our drone, and they could, before they jumped in their car to go to work, they could actually see what the traffic was doing on the N1 south from Pretoria to Joburg. Unfortunately, the drone got grounded because it was flying over freeways, which was illegal. It was less than 4 kilometers away from an airport, which was illegal. The pilot wasn't registered with KWAS, which is the unmanned aerial craft, which is illegal. Nevertheless, I mean, it was quite fun, because it was very much, it was like, we just said, guys, we've got to do this. We did it fast, we got it up and running, and then we found out what all the problems was. We grounded, we trying to sort out the legalities, and hopefully have them resolved back. But I think that, the drone concept and live streaming of the drone is something that's got a lot of relevance to you guys as civil engineers. Okay. So I'm saying it's happening now. I'm saying start thinking about it now, because if you don't start thinking about it now, you're going to get left behind. It does have a massive impact on your network, so it's not something that you just phone me up and say, we want to do a live webcast tomorrow, can Anfon come in and support it? The answer is no. There will be caveats to that answer. Give us a week, we'll be able to do some interesting stuff on your network, but give us a month to 3 months and we could do some amazing stuff on your network with regards to both live video and on-demand video. Okay. So start thinking about it now. It does have a big impact on your network. You might only want to implement in a year's time, but if you're not understanding it, if you're not thinking about it now, then you are going to get left behind in the future. Okay. That's my story.